Hello everyone, and welcome to 5 new beginner tips for people playing Descenders. As recently, I don't know if many people have seen, but I have actually been playing the game on keyboard, and this has basically made me completely new at the game again. I have no idea what I'm doing. I literally am completely foreign with the control scheme. It's like I've lost every ounce of skill in Descenders, and I thought, oh, since I've been doing this and I feel completely new at the game again, it's like I've never even played it before in my life, I thought I'd give people tips on stuff to learn when they're new at the game, you know, because I basically am again, and this is what I'm doing to get used to the game. So anyone that's watched my videos can obviously see from this, background gameplay, I do a lot of farming sort of type beat stuff, and this is basically what you do. You do a lot of flips and tricks, and you do them very consistently within small windows of each other to get as much rep as possible. I suppose you could call me a Descenders trick liner, although that kind of disgusts me. That is kind of what I am, because, you know, the aim in trick lining in Skate 3 is that you need to get as many points as possible, and it's kind of the same here, but in Skate 3 there's absolutely no point whatsoever, and in this game this is how you get items and how you get Lux Bikes and stuff, so you kind of have to do it to be getting all the good items, like especially Lux Bikes. A lot of people love those, and you kind of have to have some sort of gameplay in the game to actually get items, and you kind of got to get somewhat good if you want to at some point get a Lux Bike. For tip number 1, I'd say go to the construction park. This is one of the first bonus areas in the game. It's not under the bike park section. You can enter a code, which is 1001, and you can get to this by going ride, free ride, and then build track from seed, and then type in 1001. That is the same way that you can, well, this is the fastest way to get to it, especially if you don't want to go through the highlands and do it, but I would recommend going through the highlands and doing it this way instead. When you're in the highlands, you can either go to the top or the bottom of the map. It depends where it spawns. Usually there's a little red number next to whoever is on it, and that is how you find it. It is a little star. I would recommend doing it this way because, one, it gives you lives, so it makes it a bit tougher, but it is something that you do have to do, and plus when you reach the top and then complete the node, it will turn up in your free ride bonus track section. I recommend this area only because of the fact that it is kind of tough. I mean, it was bike out before bike out was a thing, and that kind of brings me on to my next point. I would say go and do bike out, especially if you're brand new at the game. It teaches you a lot about bike positioning and control, especially a set of jumps in the first one. You definitely need to know about timing, where your bike's going to be, how to jump, make sure you're not jumping too far, and yeah, I'll show you what I mean. So with this bike out section here, I suppose this is like tip number 2, definitely do give it a go. This is going to be hard. I would recommend actually doing it without setting any of your own checkpoints and use the ones that are placed in the level, only because this makes it a lot harder. I did actually use one a bit further. After this one, I admit, please do use a checkpoint, because this is tough. This is incredibly hard, this section. It's all about jumping. It's all about bike placement, timing, knowing when to go, having full control over your bike and knowing that you can make it. It's definitely something that you do need to do so you can learn how to get better at the game. This is a great way of doing it because it forces you to be good at riding, otherwise you're not making it, and I really recommend you stick with it and get to the end of it. This took me a couple of tries. Yeah, it definitely took me a couple of goes. I mean, it took me over an hour in total to get through this, and it is tough, especially I'm on keyboard and I have no idea what I'm doing on keyboard. Or on controller, I can actually just like do skips and stuff through this, because there's like little alternative routes that allow you to skip a good chunk of the actual section that you don't need to be doing, because you can just drop down to the lower half and then be on this checkpoint that you are here. So you can sort of cheese it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. Actually play it in full, and it is tough, but stick with it because you will get better at the end of it. It is teaching you how to get better, because the easier you can do things in this area and in this level, the better you are at the game. I mean, you could continue on and do every single bike out and you would get better at the game that way. I mean, you would kind of struggle every now and again in the career, but that is just a bit different because it's a whole alternative style of riding. I mean, look at what I'm doing here in this background footage. It is a completely different version of riding. You can only really do what I'm doing here in the desert, and it is really only made for this area, and this is why we only farm here, is because this is the best place to be doing it because of it's just, it opens you up to this different riding style that isn't really a part of the main game. But if you want to get good at the main game, I definitely recommend trying to learn how to wheelie. So a rather long time ago now, back when I very first started this channel, I made a video on how to master wheelies, as you can sort of see by what's going on here. It's a great way at actually learning bike control. I mean, this video is so old that I'm currently on the downhill bike with the enduro handling, because that is sort of how the game used to work. This is a very old video, but mastering wheelies is something that you actually want to get good at. I'm saying this because this gives you full bike control, and you can lean, you know how much you need to turn, you know how much you need to lean forward and backwards, and this is why it's a great way at learning how to get good at the game, because of the fact that it requires such minimal tiny little inputs that you need to actually learn to sort of understand how it works. I mean, if you play any racing games, you know that you don't just hold the left stick all the way to the left or all the way to the right when you're turning in some corners. You do tap it. You do little minor adjustments to sort of keep yourself going on the bend nice and straight. And as you can see with the little controller on the screen, I'm sorry, I did pick a bad controller cam back then. I should have used the red and white one. You can see how minimal movements I'm putting in. You can hold the brake and you can be completely still, but this is what I mean. You need to learn how to do this so you understand what you should actually be doing. Especially some people love to hold on the left and right stick, and the way that Descender's turning works is actually sort of incremental, and it sort of multiplies the longer that you hold the stick in one direction. If you tap it, you'll be doing very light small turns, but if you hold it, all of a sudden the turning speed will just ramp up, and you can test this yourself if you go and try this inside of just the Highlands or whatever. And if you just tap it a little bit, and then if you hold it, all of a sudden you'll be like going, turning ever so slightly, and then all of a sudden it will be really large and this huge turning radius. This is not what you want to be doing. You definitely do want to be just tapping all of the sticks around, just so you can make sure that you're making micro adjustments, because most of the time they don't need to be big, especially when going for boss jumps and stuff like that. You will need to actually be making the tiniest adjustments, because if you overcorrect on a boss jump, you are completely missing it, or you're just falling off the side and you're going to die and you're wasting your lives away. So definitely I really do recommend learning how to wheelie. This little tip, or number 4, is, I suppose it is kind of a tip but also isn't, but it's more of a bit of advice, and I really do mean this when I say don't give up. A lot of this can be a bit overwhelming. You're like, oh my god, I'm so bad at this game, I don't want to play it anymore. Genuinely, this happened to me when I first got this game. I uninstalled it because I was bad at the game. There was a point in time where I was so bad that I would frustrate myself enough to uninstall Descenders, and look where I am at now with it. I mean, genuinely, I can't believe I had done that, and now where I am with the game, it is completely different. So everyone goes through it. It is hard every night because it's like a foreign concept. It is a little similar in some other games, but there is not really any other game like Descenders out there. Well, that's exactly the same. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, Riders Republic, but that doesn't really count because their control scheme is awful, and this one's actually really good. But honestly, just do not give up. I promise you, with the game, if you give it more time, all of a sudden you'll reach this point and you will find a groove and you'll love it. I honestly used to stay up till like midnight and wait until another day had gone by, or it just gone from like, you know, the day before to the next day, so I could do sponsor tasks, because they reset at midnight each day. So you'll do 3 of them and then you can't do any until the next day. So I would actually wait up really late just to make sure I could then just do them straight away, because I just loved playing the game and they gave me something to do. So definitely do not give up with this game, and just give it some time, and all of a sudden it will click with you and you'll be loving it. Tip number 5 is stop caring about items. As much as, yes, Lux Bikes are very cool and they're the item that everybody wants, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I see a lot of people, and I mean a lot, because it happens, I get comments on every single video just asking for it. Just because you have a Lux Bike, it literally means nothing. As someone who has got every single Lux Bike 4 different times now, I've done it on my account that I just played on from the start, and then I've done it from nothing to Lux Bike, and then I've done it for nothing to Rainbow Lux Bike, and I've also done it for nothing to everything. I've played this game a lot, and I have every item in the game on multiple different accounts, well, 2, and one of them I do actually want to give away. but that will come at some point in the future. I'll make a different video about that. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, as you can see, I'm on a Lux bike in this video, but there is not much special about it. Yeah, it's cool, it glows, but it does not make you any better of a rider. You are going to have to do that yourself. If you want a Lux bike, you are going to have to put in the effort. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. There is no code for it. I can't just give you a code and then all of a sudden you have a Lux bike. It don't work like that. You really do need to get good at this game. It honestly, if you give it a bit of time, it will just all of a sudden become natural and you will get good at it, and then all of a sudden you'll start getting items. And I have people in the Discord every now and again, they'll show their little farming progress and you can see that they're loving it, because it's sort of like you put in all the effort and then all of a sudden it pays off. It feels so good when you first get your Lux bike. Honestly, it's worth it. You're putting in the grind. Even if you get it through the Grand Tour, no shame in that. Some of the Grand Tour like quests are hard, and there definitely is something to do. And I mean, that is an easier way of getting it, because you don't really have to know how to get rep, or you don't really have to farm, but you have to complete these specific tasks that can be really tough at some points, and some of them are incredibly long. But I do definitely recommend put your own effort in, and you will get a Lux bike at some point, and it will feel way better than just getting given it. I hope this sort of little tips video helps everyone out, because I really hope it does, because I want people to play this game, because it is great. You do need to give it time and you need to give it a bit of effort, but eventually all of a sudden it will click and you'll be loving it, and it is worth it. Obviously you can ride the bike parks and stuff, that is fun and all, but you are missing out on a huge chunk of the game if you completely ignore the career. That is what the game was originally built around. I remember when there was no bike parks in the game, there was no even bonus tracks. When the Canyons skate park got added, that was the first one that we got, and it was crazy. And that was when sort of actual tricks got added to the game, when like the no-hander, the candy bar and all of that got added, was all the way back then. So I have played this from when it had basically nothing and to where it is now, so I know what the difference is like. It is very fun playing the career, especially if you just do it in sort of like a little grind, or you go for the golden run or something like that. It is fun. Definitely do give it a go, and don't just ignore it because there's bike parks. But thank you all very much for watching. I hope you really did enjoy. Subscribe for more of this stuff, and I'm going to head you over to my members screen. Thank you very much to my money havers, Andrew, Grim, Luna and Francis. Thank you very, very much indeed for supporting the channel. It really does help out. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you a lot later. Goodbye.